A single mother working 3 jobs accidentally saves a tech billionaire's life at an exclusive restaurant, triggering a chain of events that exposes corporate betrayal, societal prejudice, and the transformative power of unexpected connection. When his enemies strike, she becomes the unlikely strategist who helps him reclaim everything, while he learns what truly matters. Rain hammers the streets of downtown Seattle. Maya Torres, 34, stands outside Aurelius, a restaurant where entrees cost more than her weekly grocery budget. Her uniform from the diner is hidden under a thrift store blazer. Beside her, 7-year-old Lily clutches a hand-drawn birthday card. Maya's hands trembled as she pushed open the glass door. The warmth inside felt like crossing into another dimension, one where people didn't count pennies or skip meals. Crystal chandeliers threw fractured light across marble floors. Women in silk laughed behind manicured hands. Men in $1,000 suits discussed mergers over wine that cost more than her rent. This is a mistake, she thought, her throat tightening. "Mommy, it's so pretty," Lily whispered, eyes wide. The reservation had been a gift from Mrs. Chen, the elderly woman Maya cared for between her morning diner shift and evening cleaning job. "Your daughter deserves one special birthday dinner," Mrs. Chen had insisted, pressing the confirmation email into Maya's hands. The hostess, blonde, angular, glacial, looked up from her podium. Her gaze traveled from Maya's scuffed shoes to her daughter's carefully ironed but clearly Target brand dress. The smile never reached her eyes. Reservation name? Torres, 7:30. A pause. Keyboard clicks. "I'm not seeing it." Maya's heart dropped. Mrs. Chen made it. "Chen, maybe it's under..." "Ma'am, we're fully booked tonight." "Perhaps you'd be more comfortable at..." "There it is." A man's voice, deep and edged with authority. Alexander Vance, 41, sat alone in the corner booth he'd occupied every Thursday for 6 years. His charcoal suit was impeccable. His expression was carved from ice. The phone in his hand displayed quarterly projections that should have excited him. $2.3 billion in growth, but felt as hollow as everything else. He'd watched the interaction at the hostess stand with the detachment he applied to most human drama. But something about the child's hopeful face, the mother's barely contained desperation, irritated him. Not with them, with the hostess. "Mr. Vance, The reservation exists. Seat them." The hostess flushed. "Of course, right this way." Maya felt every eye in the room track their movement to a small table near the kitchen doors. The worst spot in the restaurant, naturally. But Lily didn't notice. She was too busy taking in the flowers, the candles, the impossible beauty of it all. "Mommy, can I really order anything?" Maya's chest ached. "Anything you want, baby. It's your special day." She didn't look at the man in the corner, though she felt his gaze like a weight. The waiter, mid-30s, slicked hair, practiced contempt, arrived with menus. He set them down with the enthusiasm of handling contaminated items. "Water to start?" His tone suggested they should stick to that. "Yes, please," Maya said quietly. "And could we have a moment to..." "The kitchen closes at 10. I'd decide quickly if I were you." He glanced at Lily. "We don't have a children's menu." Lily's smile faltered. Maya's jaw tightened. "That's fine. She can order from the regular menu." When he left, Lily leaned in. "Mommy, why was he mean?" "He wasn't mean, honey. He's just busy." Liar, Maya thought. "He was mean because we don't belong here, and everyone knows it." Across the room, Alexander's fingers tightened around his wineglass. When the waiter returned, Maya ordered the cheapest entrees she could find, still breathtakingly expensive. Lily asked for the salmon, her favorite, at the grocery store sushi counter, unaware this version cost $60. Anything to drink besides water? The waiter asked with exaggerated patience. We're fine, Maya said. Very well. He collected the menus with a flourish, then paused. Just so you're aware, gratuity isn't included. 20% is customary here. The implication hung in the air. Can you even afford to be here? Maya's face burned. Around them, conversations dimmed. People were watching. Then, Lily spoke, her voice clear and carrying. My mommy works 3 jobs. She's the hardest working person in the whole world. She deserves to be here more than anybody. Silence crashed over the dining room. Maya wanted to disappear. Every head had turned. She saw the smirks, the raised eyebrows, the shared glances between tables. The woman in Chanel 2 tables over whispered something to her husband, and they both laughed. Lily, honey. It's true, Mommy. You're a hero. Alexander set down his wine glass. Something in his chest, something he'd thought dead for years, twisted painfully. The waiter returned, all fake apology. I'm terribly sorry, but we've had a complaint about noise levels. If you could keep your daughter. She's 7 years old at her birthday dinner, Maya said, her voice shaking but firm. She hasn't done anything wrong. Ma'am, perhaps this isn't the right environment for... For what? Alexander's voice cut across the room like a blade. He was standing now, though he didn't remember deciding to stand. Finish that sentence. The waiter paled. Mr. Vance, I didn't mean... You meant exactly what you said. Alexander crossed the room with deliberate steps. The entire restaurant held its breath. You suggested a child doesn't belong here because her mother works 3 jobs instead of inheriting her wealth. Is that the policy at Aurelius now? Sir, Do you know who owns this restaurant? The waiter's face went white. You do, sir. Correct. And do you know what I value more than anything in my establishments? Excellence? Decency. Alexander turned to Maya. His eyes, storm gray and unsettlingly direct, met hers. I apologize on behalf of my staff. Your meal tonight is complimentary. And you, he said to the waiter, are fired. Security will escort you out. Chaos erupted. The waiter sputtered protests. The manager rushed over. But Alexander's attention had shifted to Lily, who was staring at him with open wonder. Are you a prince? She asked. For the first time in years, Alexander Vance almost smiled. No, just someone who forgot what matters. Happy birthday. Maya couldn't speak. Humiliation and gratitude warred in her chest, creating a painful tangle she couldn't name. She didn't want to be a charity case, didn't want to be rescued, but Lily was glowing with happiness, and wasn't that worth swallowing her pride? Thank you, she managed. You didn't have to. I did. Alexander's tone was firm. Nobody deserves to be treated that way. He returned to his table, but something had shifted. He couldn't focus on his projections. Couldn't stop glancing at the corner table where the woman was cutting her daughter's salmon into careful bites, where the child was chattering about her day at school with infectious enthusiasm. When did I last feel anything that pure? He wondered. The answer was immediate and brutal. Never. 20 minutes later, the restaurant's ambiance shattered. A woman at the center table, dripping in diamonds, mid-50s, gasped and clutched her chest. Her face went gray. Her companions screamed. Silverware clattered to marble. Someone call 911, the manager shouted, his professional composure cracking. People pulled out phones. Nobody moved closer. They formed a ring of horrified spectators, as if tragedy were a show to watch from a safe distance. Maya didn't think. Her body moved on autopilot. Muscle memory from the EMT training she'd completed before Lily was born, before life had derailed every plan she'd made. She dropped to her knees beside the woman. "Ma'am, can you hear me? I'm trained. I'm going to help you." The woman's lips were blue. Her breathing was shallow, desperate. "Possible heart attack," Maya said, her voice steady, despite her racing pulse. "Someone get the AED. Restaurants like this are required to have one. Now." Alexander watched, frozen, as this woman, this struggling single mother, in a thrift store blazer, became a different person entirely. Confident, commanding. She checked vitals, loosened clothing, kept the victim conscious with a calm stream of reassurance. "You're going to be fine. Stay with me. What's your name?" "Catherine," the woman gasped. "Catherine, I'm Maya. Keep breathing. In through your nose, out through your mouth." The AED arrived. Maya attached the pads with practiced efficiency. The machine analyzed, shock advised. She cleared the area and delivered it without hesitation. Once. Twice. On the third shock, Catherine's breathing steadied. Color returned to her face. The ambulance arrived 6 minutes later, but Maya had already stabilized her. The paramedics looked at her with professional respect. "You saved her life," one said simply. "What's your certification?" "EMT Basic. Expired." Maya's voice was hollow. "I couldn't afford to maintain it." The restaurant was silent. Every person who'd looked at Maya with disdain now saw her differently. The woman in Chanel was crying. The manager was stammering apologies. Lily stood by their table, small and proud and terrified. Alexander approached slowly. His worldview was reconstructing itself in real time, uncomfortable and necessary. "You're full of surprises," he said quietly. Maya was shaking now, adrenaline crash hitting hard. "I need to. Lily needs. Come with me." It wasn't a command. It was an offer. Upstairs, private dining room. Away from all of this. She should have said no, should have taken her daughter and left. But Lily was clinging to her, and Maya's legs felt like water, and the stranger with storm-gray eyes was looking at her, like she was someone worth knowing. "Okay," she whispered. The private dining room was intimate. A fireplace, leather seating, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city lights. Alexander had requested food be brought up. Real food, comforting and warm. Lily was curled on a sofa, fighting sleep, her birthday crown slightly askew. Maya held tea she wasn't drinking. Her hands had finally stopped shaking. "Why did you do that?" Alexander asked. "Downstairs. You didn't hesitate. Training." Maya's laugh was bitter. "I was supposed to be a paramedic. Had my whole life planned. Then I got pregnant at 26. The father left before Lily was born. School became impossible. Rent became impossible. Everything became impossible. But you kept going." "What choice did I have?" Her eyes met his, fierce and exhausted. "She needed me. So I work. Diner mornings, elderly care afternoons, office cleaning nights. I pieced together enough to keep us in our apartment, keep her in decent clothes, keep food on the table. And some months I fail even at that." Alexander had heard thousands of sob stories. Business was full of them. People wanting handouts, making excuses, blaming circumstances. He'd built an empire by believing in personal responsibility, hard work, ruthless efficiency. But this wasn't a sob story. This was survival. And the woman telling it wasn't asking for anything. "My mother died when I was 8, he said abruptly. The words surprised him. He never talked about this. Cancer. My father remarried 6 months later. Some socialite who saw dollar signs. He died when I was 15. She got everything. I got nothing. Maya looked at him, really looked, saw past the expensive suit and cold exterior to the abandoned boy underneath. I built my company from zero, Alexander continued. Worked 100-hour weeks, crushed competitors, refused to trust anyone, made billions. He laughed without humor. And I'm the most miserable person I know. Why? Maya asked softly. Because I forgot how to be human. Lily stirred on the sofa, sitting up with sleepy eyes. Mr. Prince, can I ask you something? Alexander nodded. Do you have any kids? No. Why not? The question was devastating in its simplicity. I don't have time. That's sad. Lily climbed down and walked over to him with the fearless directness of children. Kids are the best thing, right, Mommy? Right, baby. Maya's voice cracked. Lily patted Alexander's hand. You should get some. But you have to be nice to them, and read them stories, and let them eat pancakes for dinner sometimes. Alexander stared at this tiny human who somehow saw straight through his armor. That sounds like good advice. I'm very smart. Lily yawned. Mommy says so. When she returned to the sofa and drifted back to sleep, the silence felt sacred. I want to help, Alexander said. Your EMT certification. I could fund it. Job training. Better opportunities. Maya's walls went up instantly. I'm not a charity case. I'm not offering charity. I'm offering investment. He leaned forward. You saved a woman's life tonight with expired training and pure instinct. Imagine what you could do with resources, with support. Why do you care? Because nobody ever helped me, Alexander said simply. And I became someone I'm not proud of. Maybe helping you means I can still become someone different. Maya studied him, saw sincerity beneath the awkwardness, saw loneliness that mirrored her own. I don't trust easily, she warned. Neither do I. If this is some kind of, it's not. Alexander's gaze was steady. I'm not asking for anything except the chance to do something right for once. Maya's throat tightened. Okay, but I pay you back. Somehow. Deal. 3 days later, Vance Industries headquarters, 44th floor. The executive boardroom. Richard Sterling, chief operating officer and Alexander's supposed closest advisor, sat at the head of the table. Around him, 5 board members leaned in like conspirators. The shareholders are nervous, Richard said smoothly. Alexander's becoming unpredictable. Did you hear about the restaurant incident? Firing staff on a whim, giving away meals, fraternizing with random women? He's distracted. Board member number 1 agreed. The quarterly meeting is in 2 days. If he appears unstable, we call for a vote of no confidence. Richard finished. I have proxies from 60% of shareholders. We remove him. I take over as CEO, and we right this ship. What about the woman? Board member number 2 asked. Torres? Richard smiled coldly. Anonymous tip to Child Protective Services. Claims of neglect, unsafe living conditions. They'll investigate. Remove the child temporarily. She'll be so devastated, so distracted, she won't be able to help Alexander, even if she wanted to. That's cruel, board member number 3 said hesitantly. That's business. Richard stood. 2 days, then Vance Industries is ours. Maya's world imploded on a Tuesday morning. The CPS worker arrived at her apartment at 7 a.m., neat suit, clipboard, apologetic but immovable. We received a report of potential neglect. I need to conduct an assessment. Neglect? Maya's blood ran cold. My daughter is everything to me. I'm sure, but we have to investigate every claim. The inspection was humiliating. The worker photographed the cramped apartment, the second-hand furniture, the peeling paint. Noted the lack of separate bedroom for Lily. They shared the one bedroom, Maya sleeping on a mattress on the floor so Lily could have the bed. Documented the sparse refrigerator, the worn clothes. Miss Torres, I'm going to have to temporarily remove Lily while we complete our investigation. No. Maya's voice broke. Please. She's happy. She's healthy. I work 3 jobs to provide for her. Ma'am, it's procedure. Lily was crying, clinging to Maya. Mommy, I don't want to go. Baby, it's okay. It's just for a little while. Maya was lying. She had no idea if it was okay. She was drowning, and there was no shore in sight. Alexander was in his office, reviewing contracts, when his phone rang. Unknown number. He almost didn't answer. Hello? They took her. Maya's voice was raw. CPS took Lily. Someone reported me. I think I'm neglecting her because we're poor, because I can't give her a mansion and private school and... Slow down. Alexander was already standing, grabbing his jacket. Where are you? Home. They just left. I don't know what to do. I can't afford a lawyer. I can't. I'm coming to you. Don't do anything. Don't sign anything. I'm bringing my legal team. Why are you helping me? Alexander paused in his office doorway. The answer was complicated and simple all at once. Because 3 days ago, you showed me what strength looks like. Now it's my turn. In Maya's apartment, Alexander's 3-attorney team worked with ruthless efficiency. They pulled the CPS report, traced its origin, and found the anonymous tip had come from a burner email. But the IP address was sloppy. Vance Industries server, the lead attorney said grimly. Someone in your company filed this. Alexander's face went cold. Richard, your COO? Maya asked. He's been pushing for more control. I've been resisting. Alexander's mind was racing. The quarterly meeting is tomorrow. He's making a move, destabilizing me, isolating me, removing my allies. I'm not just an ally, Maya said quietly. I'm a weapon he's using against you. No, Alexander met her eyes. You're a person he underestimated. We both are. They worked through the night. Maya called in sick to all 3 jobs, a luxury she couldn't afford but had no choice. Alexander's attorneys filed emergency motions to expedite Lily's return. But the real battle would be at Vance Industries. He has 60% proxy votes, Alexander said, pacing. The board will call for no confidence. I'll be out. What do they think you've done wrong? Maya asked. I've been distracted, unstable, making emotional decisions. Instead of maximizing profit, Maya was quiet for a long moment. Then, what if that's your strength? What? You've spent 20 years being ruthless, building walls, maximizing profit at all costs. She stood, moved closer. But 3 days ago, you fired someone for treating us with cruelty. You chose humanity over profit. What if that's not weakness? What if that's what makes you a better leader? Alexander stared at her. The idea was radical. His entire empire was built on the opposite philosophy. But as he looked at this exhausted single mother who'd saved a life, who fought every day for her daughter, who refused to give up, even when the system crushed her, he saw a different kind of strength. The employees, he said suddenly. I've ignored them for years, treated them like assets instead of people. But they're the ones who built this company. So remind them, Maya said. Show them who you really are. I don't know who I really am. Yes, you do. Her hand found his. You're the man who stood up for a 7-year-old girl. You're the man who wants to do something right. You're the man who's capable of change. That's who you are. Alexander looked down at their joined hands, felt something crack open in his chest, something terrifying and necessary. Help me, he said. Tomorrow, come to the meeting. Show them what real strength looks like. I'm nobody to them. You're everything I'm not. And that's exactly what I need. The Vance Industries auditorium seated 200. Every seat was full. Board members, major shareholders, senior staff. Richard Sterling stood at the podium, confidence radiating. Ladies and gentlemen, we're here to address serious concerns about Alexander Vance's recent behavior and fitness to lead this company. Alexander sat in the front row, Maya beside him. She wore a borrowed suit from his assistant, but her hands were shaking. Lily was still with foster care. The emergency hearing scheduled for that afternoon. Everything was on a knife's edge. Richard listed the charges: erratic behavior, emotional decision-making, fraternizing with inappropriate individuals, losing focus on shareholder value. Therefore, Richard concluded, I move for a vote of no confidence in Alexander Vance as CEO. Alexander stood, walked to the podium. Richard smirked and stepped aside. The room was silent, expectant. Alexander had given 100 speeches. They were always the same: polished, professional, focused on numbers and growth and dominance. This would be different. 5 days ago, he began. I was eating alone at Aurelius. I do that every Thursday. Same table, same meal, same complete isolation. I thought that was strength, meeting no one, trusting no one, feeling nothing. He paused, made eye contact with the crowd. Then I watched my staff humiliate a single mother and her daughter for the crime of being poor. And I had a choice: ignore it, as I'd ignored 1,000 injustices before, or stand up. This is irrelevant, Richard started. It's the only thing that's relevant. Alexander's voice cut like steel. I fired that waiter, comped that meal. And you know what happened? That woman saved someone's life an hour later. She had EMT training she couldn't afford to maintain because she works 3 jobs just to keep her daughter fed. She had more value in her little finger than most people in this room. But our society had thrown her away as worthless. The room was riveted. Mr. Sterling says I've become emotionally compromised. He's right. I have. I've started seeing employees as humans instead of assets. Customers as people instead of profit centers. Success as something more than a bank balance. Alexander's gaze found Richard, and I've started seeing betrayal for what it is. Mr. Sterling didn't just plot to remove me. He filed a false CPS report against Maya Torres to destabilize me emotionally. He weaponized a child. He tried to destroy a family out of ambition. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Richard went white. You have no proof. We have the IP address. We have the email. We have testimony from 3 board members you tried to recruit, who refused and came to me instead. Alexander smiled without warmth. You're done, Richard. Security is waiting outside. As security escorted a sputtering Richard out, Alexander turned back to the crowd. I built this company on ruthlessness, on the belief that compassion was weakness. I was wrong. His voice softened. I've made billions, and I've been miserable every single day. I forgot why any of this matters. I forgot what it means to be human. So, here's my proposal. We transform Vance Industries into something different. We pay living wages. Real ones. Not minimum wage poverty. We offer education benefits, healthcare that doesn't bankrupt families, childcare support. We prioritize long-term stability over quarterly profits. We prove that a company can be both successful and humane. He paused. If you vote no confidence, I'll walk away. You can return to maximizing shareholder value and treating people as expendable. But I think we can be better. I think we have to be better. Silence. Then from the back row, someone started clapping. One of the custodians, an older woman Alexander had never noticed. Then more joined. The applause built, wave after wave, until the entire room was standing. The board called for a vote. No confidence, 15%. Confidence, 85%. Alexander's eyes found Maya's. She was crying, and so was he. The family court hearing was swift. With Richard's plot exposed and Alexander's legal team presenting evidence of Maya's exemplary care, the judge ruled immediately. Lily was returned within an hour. Maya held her daughter outside the courthouse, both of them sobbing. Lily's small arms wrapped around her mother's neck like a lifeline. "I knew you'd come get me, Mommy. Always, baby, always." Alexander stood apart, giving them space, but Lily saw him and broke free, running over. "Mr. Prince, did you fix it?" "Your mommy fixed it," Alexander said, crouching to her level. "She's the strongest person I know." Lily considered this. Then, with the gravity only children possess, "You should marry her." "Lily!" Maya's face went scarlet. Alexander laughed, a real laugh, surprised out of him. "That's very direct advice." "I'm very smart," Lily repeated seriously. "Mommy needs someone to help her, and you need someone to make you smile. So you should be a family." 3 months later, the same restaurant, Aurelius. The same table where everything had changed. Maya wore a new dress, bought with her first paycheck from Vance Industries, where she now worked as Director of Employee Wellness, designing support programs for struggling workers. Her EMT certification was reinstated. Lily attended a private school on full scholarship and came home every day with stories about friends and art class and science experiments. Alexander sat across from them, more relaxed than he'd been in years. His company was thriving. Profits were down slightly, but employee retention was up 200%. Innovation was exploding, and customer satisfaction had never been higher. "Mommy, can I have the chocolate cake?" Lily asked. "It's not your birthday," Maya teased. But Mr. Alexander said, "I said you could have whatever you want when you're with me," Alexander interjected. "Chocolate cake qualifies." Lily beamed. Maya shook her head, but she was smiling. When Lily went to look at the dessert display with their server, the new one, kind and attentive, Alexander reached across the table and took Maya's hand. "Thank you," he said quietly. "For what?" "For being brave enough to walk through that door. For showing me what strength really looks like. For not giving up on me when I was learning how to be human again." Maya's eyes glistened. "You saved us." "No." Alexander's grip tightened. "We saved each other." Lily returned, chocolate cake secured. As she ate, Maya and Alexander talked about plans. A company retreat, new employee initiatives, Lily's upcoming school play. Ordinary things that felt extraordinary because they'd earned them together. When dinner ended, they walked out into the Seattle night. Rain had started again, but it felt cleansing now, instead of hostile. Alexander held an umbrella over Maya and Lily. They looked like a family, not by blood or legal document, but by choice. "Mr. Alexander," Lily asked, looking up. "Yes? Are you happy now?" He looked at this child who'd somehow seen through him from the first moment. Looked at her mother, who'd taught him that strength and compassion weren't opposites, but complements. Looked at the life they were building together, imperfect and uncertain and real. "Yes," he said, "I am." Lily nodded, satisfied. "Good. That's what I wished for on my birthday candles. I wished for you to be happy." Maya's breath caught. Alexander knelt down in the rain, umbrella forgotten, and pulled Lily into a hug. Then Maya joined them, the three of them tangled together under the Seattle rain, holding on to something fragile and powerful and true. The restaurant lights glowed behind them, a beacon in the darkness. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, board meetings and deadlines, homework and bedtime stories, the 1,000 small battles of building a different kind of life. But tonight, they had this. A promise made in rain and chocolate cake, in shared trauma and hard-won trust. Alexander Vance had built an empire on ruthlessness, but standing there with Maya Torres and her daughter Lily, he finally understood what wealth really meant. It wasn't the billions in his accounts or the office with his name on the door. It was this. Two people who saw him, truly saw him, and chose to stay anyway. Maya had spent years surviving, fighting, barely keeping her head above water. But as Alexander's arm wrapped around her shoulders and Lily's hand found hers, she felt something she'd almost forgotten. Hope, not the desperate kind that comes from having no other choice, but the wild, impossible kind that comes from daring to believe in new beginnings. They walked toward Alexander's car, leaving footprints in the rain. Behind them, the restaurant door opened and closed, admitting new diners with new stories. But this story of a single mother, a broken billionaire, and a 7-year-old girl wise beyond her years would echo in that space forever. Some families are born, some are built, and some are forged in the fire of the most unlikely circumstances, held together by the stubborn belief that people, all people, deserve dignity, second chances, and love. This was one of those families, and their story was just beginning.